Part 27. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 262. Chapter 262, Why? Counting the days, Hians was afraid that he would come back again. When he arrived in Zhongxuan, the vegetables in the village had to be sold at a faster pace, otherwise he would be old. Some people who are not from Hejia village also grow vegetables grown from Mei Shui's seeds, and the taste is really different from what they grow. First I ate it at home and thought it tasted good. Then I picked the vegetables one by one and went to the town to sell them. At first, I couldn't sell much because they were expensive. There are also many discerning people, such as Boss Mi, who used to buy vegetables from Mei Shui. He could tell the difference between the dishes at a glance. Since last year, he has been thinking about those vegetables, but unfortunately he has never come to sell them again. Now that I saw him, of course he would not let it go. I tried the cabbage directly and found that the taste was a little worse than before, but it was much stronger than what others sold. After buying a few and trying them in the store, he became obsessed with these dishes. While shopping, I asked around and finally found out the origin of these dishes. But the retail food he eats is enough for the store, but he still has to look at some things, such as fish. He has bought the eel from the little girl's house. It tastes very good, with less muddy taste and firmer meat. It is better than ordinary ones. Maybe it's because their side has good soil and water. Boss Mi's business has grown bigger and bigger because of these retail investors' dishes. He is also an ambitious person. Just after spring this year, he received vegetables at the market, but the taste has changed a lot. This was unacceptable to him. After asking about it, I found out that it was caused by vegetables. Those families with connections, after learning that the taste of their own vegetables was not as good as before, began to sell vegetable seeds through relatives. Fortunately, Mei Shui asked Xiaobai to prepare it early, and with the vegetable seeds she left last year, it was enough to sell. So people who buy vegetable seeds immediately change the vegetables. This will not delay making money. Meixiu doesn't know this, but the sales of vegetable seeds this year are not as much as last year. She doesn't want to care about these things. She is not a fool. She can let them grow vegetables, but she will not give money to others. She planned to use most of the vegetables on the back mountain to save seeds. Fortunately, people in the village came to ask about this in advance, and Mei Shui did not hide it from them and told them one by one. The villagers also understand and will not be reluctant to spend a few yuan of seed money. Every household bought a lot and distributed the excess to some relatives. So after a month, Boss Mi bought the same vegetables at the market. Finding that some people's dishes had returned to their previous taste, he finally felt relieved. But this kind of thing is not very reliable. He still has to go to Hejia village to find the little girl. Meixiu didn't know that anyone was thinking about her. After all the eels in the field were caught, she and Uncle Zhenbei began to fatten the field again. After fattening this time, they would plant rye seedlings. Xiaoxiu, it's too hot today, you should go back first. Seeing how big the sun was above his head, Zhenbei said worriedly. Mei Shui shook her head, no, there's not much left. Let's go back together after we're done. In addition, his family's fields are not much. Meixiu is not a virgin either. Those fields are obviously something that Uncle Bei intends to redeem, and her spatial water is not going to be put into them. She has no plans to go to the fields again, except for the few acres of land she owns. It took 2 days to finally clean up her field. Mei Shui stopped going to the field the next day, and Zhenbei breathed a sigh of relief. You know, he gets paid for cultivating these fields. If Xiaoxiu keeps helping him work, he won't feel at ease even with the money. Vegetables in the back mountains have also been planted, and this year Meixiu planted a lot of watermelons. These watermelons are recognized by everyone. Tasty, sweet, sandy, and plenty of water. Sister-in-law, Sister-in-law, someone is looking for you. Mei Shui was watering the watermelon seedlings behind the house when she heard someone calling her from the front. After washing her hands, Mei Shui walked out from the back of the house. Who is it? Hianwei immediately became nervous when he saw the person. Sister-in-law, someone is looking for you by the stream, saying that he is looking for you to buy vegetables, but he is not from Bosjian. You should know that anyone can buy the vegetables in Hejia village, but the only one who sells the vegetables in Mei Shui's family is the boss. Even Guji can only get some scraps now, which makes him extremely aggrieved. Buy my food, didn't my food just come away? How can there be any food at this time? Even if there are, aren't they still ripe? Yes, but that man said he knew you and said you had gone to his shop to sell fish and vegetables. Hianwei looked unbelieving. Meixue thought for a long time before she remembered someone. Let's go down and have a look. She sold vegetables and wild boars once when she didn't go to the county town. I think it's Mr. Me. It's good that she is someone she knows, but she is afraid that someone will cause trouble. She is not afraid of making trouble, but grandma will be worried. When she came to the creek, Mei Shui recognized the person at a glance. It turns out to be Boss Me. Boss Me was surrounded by villagers and could not advance or retreat. Hearing the voice calling him, his expression finally improved. Little girl, what's going on with the people in your village? I'm just here to find you. Why do everyone treat me as a bad guy? He couldn't figure it out. Mei Shui smiled. Uncles and aunts, this is the owner of a restaurant in the town. He is not a bad person, Mei Shui explained to everyone with a smile. Once he heard that he was a restaurant owner, everyone was less resistant to him. Haha, we are too nervous, Xiaoxiu, don't neglect when the boss comes. Don't be too obvious in your intention to please. Boss Me feels so wronged. Just now he also said that he is the owner of a restaurant, but what about them? Don't mention it anymore. Okay, be sure to take good care of him. In this way, Mei Shui brought the person home. What's the matter with Boss Me's visit this time? Mei Shui was not a slow-moving person and spoke directly. Girl, you are really hard to find. Why don't you just come to see you? Boss Me calmed down and drank a large glass of water. This water is very sweet. Delicious. If it tastes good, drink more. After saying that, Mei Shui pressed out a glass of water from the well in the courtyard and handed it to Boss Me. Drink it. Water, enough water. Boss Me was not polite and drank it all in one go. Tell me, what's going on? My family is currently repairing the house and I'm a little busy. There's still a lot of work to be done. You girl, don't you know how to be polite? Boss Me really didn't regard himself as an outsider. Okay. Seeing Mei Shui's change of expression, Boss Me didn't delay. I came to the village to buy some of your vegetables. He was still thinking about the taste last time. Mei Shui shook her head. My food is not for takeout. As soon as she heard that she was buying food, Mei Shui put down her last line of defense. Why? Boss Me was anxious. If he didn't buy any food this time, what would happen to his store? It's the end of the month. Don't forget to vote for your monthly vote, and please leave more comments in the comment area. Thank you, dear ones. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 263. Chapter 263, Black Snake in Red Clothes. Hianwei had been sitting aside, and now he finally got to speak. My sister-in-law's food has been reserved by a restaurant owner in the county, and now we don't sell it to outsiders. Hearing Hianwei's words, Boss Me was shocked. It seemed that someone was a step faster than him. Who? Can you eat so many vegetables? You know, in his shop, the vegetables used every day are not too many. It's only about 100 kilograms. Mei Shui stopped Hianwei. I can't say much about who this is. Anyway, Boss Me doesn't sell my vegetables. If you want to buy vegetables, you can take back the vegetables of other people in the village. Since her family has plenty of vegetables, she might as well help the villagers sell more. You really can't give me any share at all, Boss Me said unwillingly. Mei Shui shook her head. No, she refused directly. Okay, he is not the kind of unscrupulous person. Since other people's vegetables are not sold, it is the same as buying vegetables from the village. Then can you introduce me to a few families with better food? He still doesn't know much about the village. No, all the vegetables grown in the village are bought from my family. It doesn't matter who you buy from, Mei Shui said with a smile. That's right, those people from other villages are provided by seeds from my sister-in-law, as his brother said. Dishes made from seeds from his sister-in-law's family are now popular in markets outside. Hearing this, what did Boss Me not understand? Haha, little brother, do you have any food at home? Why don't you sell me some? With the ready-made person in front of him, Boss Me didn't intend to let him go. My vegetables are all sold out. If you want to buy vegetables, go to group 1, 2, and 3 on the mountain. They still have some. Hianwei knows the village very well. Mei Shui looked at him high and thought to herself, this guy is no worse than his brother. Where are these 2 or 3 groups? Boss Me was confused. Mei Shui doesn't have to worry about this, because Hianwei will help her solve it. I'll take you there. Mei Shui didn't say a word about what happened after that, and let Anwei talk there. Unexpectedly, he also earned himself a small amount of pocket money. In the end, Boss Me paid 5 yuan to ask Hianwei to help him collect the vegetables. After seeing off Boss Me, Mei Shui went to the back of the house again, planning to replenish all the watermelons that had not sprouted. She made a meal at home at noon, and went for a walk in the mountains in the afternoon. I saw that the fruit trees in the back mountain are all bearing fruit. This year I can harvest a large amount of fruit for the cellar. A year has passed, and I don't know whether the fruit wine inside has been completed, but Mei Shui has not opened the previous sealed altar. Planning to open it in a few years. Walking directly from the mountain to the back mountain villa, I met Xiaobai halfway. Why are you here? Mei Shui was a little surprised. You know, Xiaobai is so lazy now that he won't move even half a step without moving. Master, I met a red snake that became intelligent, but it ran away. Xiaobai shook his little head and looked around. Are you enlightened? Mei Shui was a little surprised. There are such creatures in this world. She didn't think it was very credible. Of course, if you don't believe it, if you take out some space water, it will definitely appear. Xiaobai ran out of the nest because he felt the breath of the same kind. Mei Shui put Xiaobai down, and with a wave of her hand, she took out a large gourd of space water from the space. The spiritual energy was almost foggy and kept floating in the air. It didn't take long for Xiaobai to move. Master, it's here, it's here. At this time, Mei Shui was already surrounded by small animals. Fortunately, there are few people here, and few people working on the mountain come here. There are all big trees and fruit trees here. No one will come until it's time to pick the fruit. Mei Shui kicked some animals blocking the road with her feet. Xiaobai, have you caught them? Mei Shui was also a little excited. No need to catch it, no need to catch it, master, it hasn't moved here. Xiaobai shouted excitedly. Mei Shui was speechless and was not afraid of scaring others away. Unfortunately, except for the red snake, except for Ang Hong's head, it stared at Xiaobai and Mei Shui, spitting its snake letter. That's it, Mei Shui took a look and said happily, Xiaobai, do you know what species it is? Unexpectedly, in this world, Mei Shui saw a creature from her world. I don't know. Xiaobai had never seen one before. It was the first time he saw one. It's true that snakes have become immortals before, but I've never seen this kind. Haha, there are things you don't know. It's really fun. Mei Shui moved quickly and grabbed the little red snake, which was about 2 meters long, and raised it in front of her. It's called the red-black snake. It's a kind of snake that cultivates spiritual power. Eating them can increase one's spiritual consciousness. It's a good thing Mei Shui was a little excited. Xiao Bai was confused. Is there such a high-quality spiritual product in the world? You know, things that can enhance the cultivation of spiritual consciousness are very extraordinary. You must know that among medicinal materials, the elixir that can restore spiritual consciousness is thousands of years away, let alone such a spiritual animal. Master, don't lie to me. Obviously, Xiaobai didn't believe it. Why are you lying to me? Mei Shui rolled her eyes at it. However, it seems to be old. It would be a pity to eat it like this. Using its blood to practice medicine is much more cost-effective than killing it. Mei Shui rolled her eyes. Shine. And the black snake in red clothed in her hand was trembling all over. Mei Shui also discovered the situation. Oh, it can actually understand my words. It was like discovering the door to a new world. You know, in her world, this kind of thing is a rare delicacy for the base leaders. Repairing mental power is a drug that all people with special abilities dream of. Master, of course it can understand what you say when it becomes smart. Xiaobai gave his master a roll of his eyes. Hey, good thing, let's go, Xiaobai, let's go into space. In this case, she couldn't let it go. So, after Mei Shui found an uninhabited land, she took Xiaobai and the red snake into the space. Stay in space, and the red snake will be forced to recognize its master by the space. Meixiu immediately sensed the red snake and said, I will be your master from now on. You must be obedient in the future, otherwise. Needless to say, Mei Shui would end up being eaten. Of course, obedience is different. The red snake nodded very humanely. After all, it was incomparable to Xiaobai. It still couldn't speak. Master, please ask if there are any similar animals of its kind. You said it's a good thing for restoring consciousness, so let's raise more of it. Xiaobai drooled. Meixiu understands this guy very well. Don't come here, this thing doesn't just eat meat. Okay, take it out of space and catch some black snakes. Mei Shui doesn't like snakes very much. She still has to spend time with her grandma and children. Oh, okay then, Xiaobai agreed. Come on and vote monthly. You will be able to add another chapter soon. Everyone, please act quickly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 264. Chapter 264, Thinking Too Much. After leaving the space, Mei Shui picked some half-ripe fruits and walked to the yard. And Xiaobai brings Xiaohong. Well, Mei Shui's name is really useless. Take Xiaohong with you to find its kind. This kind of snakes live in nests. If you find one, you can find a nest. But the number of nests is not very large, and compared to other snakes, Xiaohong's reproductive capacity is much worse. Grandma, Xiaopeng Xiaochang, I'm back. Mei Shui opened the door and shouted to the inside. As soon as they heard their mother's voice, the two children abandoned their wife and ran out. Mommy, mommy. Seeing the two children running over in identical clothes, Mei Shui felt very soft in her heart. Slow down and watch the road. Not long after, the two of them ran to their mother and threw themselves into her arms. Mom, why are you here? Mei Shui was still holding some fruits in her hand, but after being hit like this, all the fruits fell to the ground. You guys, hurry up and pick it up. Mei Shui always had a smile on her face. Mom, I'm sorry, the baby didn't mean it. Xiao Cheng is better at coquettishness than Xiao Peng. Come Les, you are the strongest, Xiao Peng said very unfairly. Okay, don't make any noise. Let's pick it up and go into the house to find my wife and play with them. No, we have to play with Mom. The two of them are not easy to fool. It doesn't matter if their mother is busy, they won't bother them, but now that she is free, of course they would first choose her. Okay, Mommy will play with you, come on, let's go into the house. When we came to the inner courtyard, several old men found their own activities. Some played chess and some drank tea. It is really a good place to retire. Xiaoxiu is here. The old men kept moving their hands and looked up at Mei Shui. Well, the old men lived a good life. Haha, lucky you. They were very grateful. If it weren't for Xiao Mei, they wouldn't have the life they have now. By the way, Xiaoxiu, is it time for the pills to come out this time? Uncle Shi's hair has turned gray recently, and he is thinking about how to deal with the wounded soldiers every day. Well, that's it. Mei Shui came over to deliver medicine to them. Uncle Shi and the others have recently discussed the matter of wounded soldiers with Mr. Mu, but unfortunately, there is nothing he can do. It takes time and money to take care of it. It can't be done in a short time, so it won't work here. At that time, Mr. Mu said something and asked them to try Xiaoxiu, so the several old men kept it in mind. But I don't put too much hope. Xiaoxiu said that she only has a few prescriptions but has no medical skills. He carried the children to an empty bench and sat down. Here, these are for these 3 months now. The medicinal materials they can take out are all older than 100 years. Meixiu is not as dark as Grandma and Xiaobai, and the effect of the medicine has not weakened much. It can be considered a balance. The medicine made from medicinal materials that have been used for 100 years is somewhat less effective, but how can these medicinal materials be found? Medicinal materials that are hundreds of years old are really hard to come by. The 5 old men were very quick with their hands and feet. As soon as Mei Shui was placed on the table, they divided it up. Grandma, he looked on, speechless. Are you all robbers? If she hadn't known the efficacy of these pills, she might not have sold them to them. Grandma, it's okay. Mei Shui smiled and took one out of a jade bottle in her arms. Grandma, this one is sweet. Grandma complained many times that the pills she made were too strong in taste and unpalatable. Mom, I want it too, I want it too. Xiao Cheng is very active. Xiao Peng was still young after all, staring at his mother with bright eyes. Okay, you all have them. He took out another pill bottle and poured 2 pills out of it. Here, remember to move more after eating. They are still young and cannot exercise, but they can still digest the medicine by running and jumping. Well, I'll go right away. After taking the medicated bath for 3 months, the 2 little guys started taking pills. However, Mei Shui still gives them a bath once a month, which is considered to be a consolidation. After Mei Shui comforted Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng, the old men all stared at Mei Shui. What kind of pill is this? Mr. Wu asked anxiously. Watching Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng eating, he thought of his grandson. Grandma, he quit. Why, are you still staring at my Xiao Peng's and his friends' things? She couldn't stand people like them, and always wanted to pull good things into her arms. Big sister, Mr. Wu felt a little embarrassed. Don't you envy Xiao Peng and the others? As you know, I have a grandson who is in poor health. Before Mr. Wu could finish speaking, Grandma, he stood up angrily. Who are you calling a big girl? You don't even know how old you are. Yes, Grandma, he is older than them all, but because of Mei Shui's conditioning, she looks younger than them. Mr. Shi has always called her eldest sister since then. It's okay if you don't know it at first. Later, when she told her age, when Grandma he learned that they were all younger than herself, she stopped doing it. Of course, except Mr. Zhao, he is really 2 years older than Grandma he. Mei Suifang, what happened? I with interest. Then, eldest sister, Mr. Wu called tentatively. You, eldest sister. Grandma he was not satisfied with this term either. Okay, stop arguing, big sister, who makes you look younger than us? It's not our fault, old man. She came out to be a good person. But he was the one who took the lead in calling eldest sister, and he was denounced from all directions as soon as he spoke out. Mei Shui looked on and bent over with a smile. Okay, let's get down to business. Sister, If you don't mind, just treat them like nothings and let them go. Mr. Zhao couldn't stand it anymore and stood up to make peace. Grandma he finally rolled her eyes at them and sat down quietly. Xiaoxiu, I want to ask you something. Mr. Zhao straightened his body and said seriously, do you have any prescription to treat the soldiers who were injured on the battlefield? The last bit of hope. Mei Shui shook her head. No, she wasn't stupid, and even if she had it, she wouldn't take it out. What relationship do those people have with her? If her medical skills are exposed, I'm afraid it will bring not benefits but dangers. She still has family and cannot gamble. Besides, will people in the future still have good intentions? She didn't. Xiaoxiu, things are a little different this time. What about us? Mr. Zhao still wanted to say, but Grandma he couldn't stand it anymore. Don't think about it. Xiaoxiu can make some wine, but she hasn't learned how to heal. She said she can cure it. Do you dare to let her cure it? Doesn't it count as hers if she dies? Grandma he stood up angrily and pointed at all the old men, you all hold high positions. Our Xiaoxiu is just a little peasant woman. None of you have that ability, let alone my Xiaoxiu. After saying that, Grandma he took the person away directly. While pulling them away, they also took Xiaopeng and Xiaocheng out. Shi Weikan walked out of the room. Grandpa, you are anxious, he sighed. The accounts are settled at the end of the month. Everyone, please vote quickly and vote for monthly recommendations. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 265. Chapter 265, Escape. 0. We don't want to either. Didn't your dad write a letter saying that things over there are about to be arranged, Uncle? She was also helpless. After leaving the yard, Grandma he glared hard at her behind her and said, a bunch of heartless dogs. The voice was a bit loud, so loud that the old men who entered the yard for the second time heard her scolding. Grandma is not angry anymore, let's go home first. Can it be cured? Of course she can, but the consequences after treatment are not something she, a peasant woman, can bear. She has seen a lot of this kind of politics. Why do those high-ranking people or super-rich people rarely appear in front of others? It's because they cherish their lives. Those who appear in front of others have several good endings. Unless they become the country's public scapegoat, why don't those sharp blades appear in the eyes of the world? Mixu will not be stupid enough to go against a country, but she will not be strong enough to make a country fear her. Farmer women are very good. She prefers to be a peasant woman. Back home, Grandma he was still very angry. I didn't expect that a group of white-eyed wolves were invited into the house. Grandma, don't worry, I don't have medical skills, so it's useless for them to beg me at this time. Mei Shui was glad that she didn't expose her space or medical skills. You idiot, can you compare how thoughtful they are? They are all planning on ordinary people like us, to provide for our old age, to support our ass, and each one of them regards this place as a secret base. Grandma he is not a fool. She comes from a wealthy family, so she can't understand some things. Okay, if Grandma is not angry, what should I do if she gets so angry? Mixu knew why Grandma was angry. She was angry that they had plotted against her. Xiaoxiu, get ready. We will take the children to the county town tomorrow. We can't stay here. Mixu was speechless. Grandma, no need. If she didn't agree, no one could force her. At worst, she could clear a piece of the sky for Grandma and the others. No big deal. You, silly, and Xiao are also going together. Let him go to school in the county. It's okay to transfer now. Grandma he's attitude was to draw a clear line between her and those old men. If someone comes to ask about the whereabouts of the old men now, Grandma he will definitely stand up and sell people out for the first time. Mei Shui felt very happy. Okay, Just listen to Grandma. She knew that no matter how much she tried to persuade Grandma, she would not agree, so it was better to follow her wishes and let her calm down. And that yard can't be lived in anymore. Don't think I don't know, they have already made people keep an eye on our yard. This is what she accidentally heard once. If the old men were here, they would definitely cry out for injustice. They let people stare because they were afraid that someone would do something bad to them, and they had good intentions. Okay, just listen to Grandma. Mei Shui could only obey, but if she left tomorrow, she could arrange things at home. And Grandma Mu and the others, forget it. Now that their houses have been repaired, I'm not worried that they will be uncomfortable. Mei Suideo still likes Grandma Mu, but of course, she is still far inferior to Grandma Mu. It can also be said that she is incomparable. As soon as Xiao came back, he was informed that he would not have to go to school tomorrow and would go to school in the county in the future. He looked confused. Mom, what's wrong with my wife? He didn't understand. Did something happen at home during the day? Looking at him with a serious look on his face like a little adult, Mei Shui touched his head and said, "Don't worry, you have to transfer in the second half of the year anyway, it's just ahead of schedule now." Mei Shui explained seriously that it didn't stop him from thinking too much. Grandma he packed up her things and walked out of the house. "You brat, what's wrong with going to the county town? There is no wife, mother, or brother in the county, so it's not fun at all." Xiao is even more reluctant to leave them. "You have no future, my wife will accompany you to school this time." Perhaps comforted by Xiao's words, Grandma He's face finally looked better after being tense all afternoon. "Go and pack up quickly and leave early tomorrow morning." This time I left Grandma He without any news leaking out. Mei Shui called He Anyong and He Anwei over and asked them to help her keep an eye on things in the village. Since Mr. Zhang was here in the old house, Mei Shui was not too worried and gave some money to He Anyong so that he would have money to buy materials when he ran out of materials. He Anwei asked him to help look after the vegetables on the mountain. Xiao Bai Meixiu didn't plan to take her away, and he had to inquire about some news. After Xiao Bai learned about his master, he immediately took Xiao Hong to the back mountain courtyard and eavesdropped on the conversation between the old men. The next day, before dawn, Mei Shui and Grandma He walked down the mountain holding each other in their arms. The person who sent them out was He Jinnan, who didn't alarm the villagers at all. It wasn't until the next day that the old men noticed that something was wrong, when Xiaoxiu and sister He didn't arrive. Immediately ran out of the back mountain and came to the He family's small courtyard. When they saw a big lock on the courtyard door, several people couldn't laugh or cry. Turning around and going to Mr. Mu's courtyard, "Have you seen Sister He?" asked several people. Mr. Mu was packing up his herbs and shook his head. "I didn't see it. I didn't hear a sound this morning." Only he knows whether he heard it or not. How could the old men not know what he was thinking? Don't think too much about it. We didn't mean to force her. We just asked casually. Didn't you also bring up this idea? Mr. Mu regretted it very much now. Just think of me as a fart and let it go. The old men also knew that they might not have thought about Xiaoxiu, and none of them were so confident. It seems that he ran away. Alas, Uncle, she regretted it the most. Mr. Sun finally saw through it and felt that Xiaoxiu must have her own prescription for treating injuries, but Sister He was unwilling to let her take it out. Similarly, helping others must be voluntary, and they cannot force others if they don't want to. Let's just forget about it and pretend it never happened, Mr. Sun sighed and said. Several old men looked at each other and laughed. What are you talking about? Aren't we here to look at houses today? Summer is here, and we can no longer live in the hot springs. He, these old men. Mei Shui and Grandma He brought Xiao to the county town. When Hians came home and saw his wife and grandma, it was a surprise. "Grandma Xiaoxiu, why are you here? He has only been out for a few days." Could it be that his wife misses him? Hians felt lustful in his heart. "You are overthinking. Something happened at home." Forget it, you should first check if there is a house for sale in the county. We don't live here, Grandma. He was in a very bad mood. What's wrong? Hearing his grandma's words, Hyans knew that this matter was probably not trivial. Mixu actually didn't think it was a big deal, but for the sake of her grandma and the children, she still listened to her grandma. Just listen to Grandma. Settling the accounts, the monthly ticket adds 3 more chapters, but the recommended vote does not include 1 chapter. Don't you feel sorry for the author? End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 266. Chapter 266, Hyan's Fear. Hyan sighed. He was the one with the least status in the family. There are ready-made houses. Last time when Fang Kai bought a house, I bought one with him. When Fang Kai decorated the house a few days ago, I also installed all the furniture in the house. It's a set, so it won't be a problem to live there now. Hearing that there was a place to change, Grandma, he was very excited. Let's go, let's leave now. With no choice, Hyans could only take the people back to his new house in a hurry. This is a building, a family building of a factory. The room is not big, but he thought that he had a large family, so he bought 2 connected houses at that time. Fang Kai and He Jiao did the same and bought 2 sets that were connected. The 2 happened to be neighbors, both on the 3rd floor, which was also the top floor. The county town has developed quite rapidly in the past 2 years, with buildings rising one after another and many empty houses. When we arrived at our new home, it was so dark that no one could be seen. You haven't eaten yet, let's go to Uncle Zhao's shop to have something to eat, Hyans asked, sweating from exhaustion. Grandma, he shook her head. If you don't go, it's best not to tell him about the house here. She kept rejecting it in her heart. Mei Shui understood. No, we brought the food. I'll cook and you take care of the children. After saying that, Mei Shui turned around and entered the kitchen. She was prepared when she came and brought some dry goods. There were no fresh vegetables, but there was a lot of dry goods. The meal took about an hour, and it was around 9 o'clock in the night that the family had dinner. Maybe it's because they have changed places. Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng are in great spirits, but Xiao is a little drowsy. Xiao, don't doze off. Come over and eat quickly. After eating, go to bed. Looking at Xiao being tortured, Mei Shui felt heartbroken. Oh, Mom, I'll come right away. Xiao was sitting on the sofa and didn't want to move at all. Brother, shame, shame, shame. The 2 boys began to feel ashamed of their elder brother. After dinner, there are still some things that I haven't put away. I'll do them tomorrow. Grandma took Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng to her room. This room was the 2nd largest room among the 2 houses. There is also a large room where Mixu and Hyans live. The 2 houses are both models of the 2-bedroom and 1 living room. Hyans also opened up his own house when Fang Kai was renovating it. Now it has 4 bedrooms, 2 living rooms and 2 bathrooms, which is really big. Xiao couldn't help but doze off a long time ago. As soon as he heard that he could sleep, he ran back to his room. After entering the room, Hyans couldn't help but ask about today's events. What happened? Mei Shui did not hide anything from him and told him what the old men were thinking. Hyans frowned and asked, can you let them leave the village? That's right, Hyans has the same attitude as Grandma on this matter. It doesn't matter anyway, she has made enough money, so they can leave. Xiaobai is right, pills are the most profitable, but they are also the most dangerous. Fortunately, I listened to Grandma's advice and made the least effective effect. Otherwise, Mei Shui felt that her mentality might need to be adjusted. Ever since she came to this world, she had always thought of the Aboriginal residents here as useless, because the people of this era were incomparable to her world in terms of force and other abilities. Perhaps it is because of this attitude that she does not pay attention to anything or anyone. That's why Grandma is now afraid. Xiaoxiu, we can't give that medicine, and we can't have it. Hians knew that Xiaoxiu had some unreasonable accidents, and was afraid that she wouldn't take it. I understand. Grandma told me that I can't do it and I haven't done it. She is not stupid. From now on, we can hide everything we have at home, whether it's Xiaobai or those 2 books. Xiaoxiu, I don't want any accidents to happen at home. Hians hugged her with some fear. I can't live without you and Grandma, can you promise me? Don't make those pills anymore. I will work hard to earn money, and I will definitely not wrong you. She felt his fear and understood his worry even more. Don't worry, I will do it if they come up with medicine. If they can't come up with medicine, I won't do it. I have been reading these days, trying to figure out how to make that prescription come out publicly. That's right, after Mei Shui discussed it with Xiao Bai, she planned to find a weakened version of the recipe and make this health-preserving recipe public, so that they wouldn't have to trouble her. That's good, Xiaoxiu, I know I've wronged you, but I'm afraid the status of those old men is too high, and farmers like them can't ease the terms. Don't worry, I don't have that big ambition. My wish is just to live a quiet life, build a manor, plant vegetables every day, raise chickens, and so on. In a few days, the house will be like before. Mei Shui also knew that she had taken a big step and wanted to stop it. You must not have the intention of harming others, and you must have the intention of guarding against others. Well, after I arrange things here, I will go home and farm with you. Hians felt that no amount of money could buy peace for his family. Meixiu was speechless. Then how are we going to live a good life after you go home? She understands that men don't mean what they say. You can just make money outside in peace and give my mother and son a better life. She accepted him. He was her lover and she had to pamper him. Well, I will definitely give you the best life, Hians promised. In this way, Mei Shui took her family to live in the county town. He Jiao only found out about her sister-in-law's arrival the next day. Because they haven't moved here yet, but they will soon, just in the next few days. Sister-in-law, third grandma, are you coming back this time? He Jiao rarely saw villagers in the county town, and she was very close to them. I don't know about this yet, Jiao, please bring the child over and show me Grandma. He still had a very good impression of He Jiao. Today, Xiao was pulled out by Hians early in the morning, saying that he would be taken to school to change schools. Mei Shui didn't understand this, so she let him go. The house just needed to be tidied up, so I didn't go out. Then I met He Jiao who came over to tidy up the house. She came here with her child, but she had no choice, and there was no one at home to help her take care of it. Mother-in-law and others still have to work, and her brother-in-law is in school, so she can only take care of the children by herself. Here, third grandma, please carry her, I'm tired from carrying her all the way, He Jiao said with disgust. When Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng saw their little brother coming, they all gathered around him. One pulls and the other kisses, and grandma, he can't stop her. Okay, you 2 little rascals, please get out of the way, or my brother will cry to you. Not to mention the little one, he is really pretty. He is 5 months old and is white and tender. My brother won't cry, my wife is lying. Xiao Cheng was unwilling to accept it. Xiao Peng also looked unconvinced, because his brother was clearly laughing. It's the first day of the month. Please vote. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 267. Chapter 267, Plan. Mei Shui was too lazy to leave them. It was normal for children to be noisy after a while, and they might get annoyed after a while. Jiao, please drink some water. Mei Shui poured a glass of water and handed it to He Jiao. Thank you, sister-in-law. Mei Shui was sorting out the things she brought yesterday while talking to He Jiao. She was truly liberated after all her things were put in the room. It's noon, Jiao, let's have lunch here today. Mei Shui looked at her watch, it was really getting late. Okay, sister-in-law, let me help you do it together. He Jiao is not a hypocritical person. After becoming a mother, she has to do more work. It is not like when she was in the village, where her mother and grandmother were always there. The relationship is good, you are familiar with Zhou Xuan, then let's go out and buy some food. It happened that there was no food at home. You're familiar with it, I asked about this place all over before finally buying a house here. If she wasn't familiar with it, she wouldn't buy a house here. That's it, we just don't have much food at home, please take me to get acquainted with it. Just like that, He Jiao took Mei Shui around for a while. She was very relieved when the child was left to the third grandma. She also brought a milk bottle, so she was not worried that the child would be hungry. Besides, the child was still asleep. The two little guys wanted to go with them, but Mei Shui had to buy a lot of things, such as rice and so on, so she didn't bring any of them, but she had agreed to take them out to play in the afternoon. Sister-in-law, look, this is a small market. You can come here to buy whatever you want to buy. Even though it's small, it's quite complete. He Jiao took Mei Shui to a passage in the factory building. There is not only this factory building here, but also the charcoal factory building here, as well as the hemp rope factory and so on. The most famous one is the cannery. This factory is the largest, and their house was bought from the cannery. There is a supply and marketing cooperative across the road, turn left and walk for about 10 minutes. It's not as big as the one in the center of the county town, but you can buy things that are usually in short supply. He Jiao told Mei Shui everything she knew, and Mei Shui also listened carefully. It's 88 years now, and I have been able to do business freely for a long time. There is a marketplace organized by the vendors themselves in the channel. Somewhat complicated, but very clean. After Mei Shui bought enough things she needed, she walked home with He Jiao. At noon, those who went to work also came back to make lunch or go home to rest. Along the way, I met a lot of people. Of course some people will talk behind their backs, but that's not important. I heard that some ants were very enthusiastic. When they saw Mei Shui carrying so many things, they all stepped forward and wanted to help. Because they didn't know each other, Mei Shui politely refused. Then He Jiao came, chatting and laughing with these people. Even after returning home, He Jiao was still there saying good things about these aunties. Meixia just doesn't understand. Can you tell from just these few sentences? Grandma, we are back. As soon as she opened the door, Mei Shui shouted into the house. Because she saw no one in the living room. Mom, Auntie, you are back. The little brother was crying and looking for his mother just now. Xiao Cheng ran out of his wife's room quickly and said. Oh, the little brother isn't crying now, He Jiao asked as soon as she heard her son cry. No, I fell asleep again. My wife said that my little brother was scared, Xiao Cheng said with an unhappy look on his face. Meixia also put down the things in her hands. Is someone coming? She asked nervously. No, there was a quarrel downstairs just now, and the little brother was frightened by the sound of the door, Xiao Cheng said while learning. Hearing that no one was coming, Mei Shui was relieved. You go and check on the child first. I'll be alone in the kitchen. I know she is worried about the child. Then I'll trouble my sister-in-law. He Jiao was really worried about the child. Mei Shui pulled Xiao Cheng toward the kitchen. Because she bought some cooked food, today's lunch was already late, so she brought out some meat for him to eat. You ask your brother to come out and eat some too. Put it on a plate and put it on the table, and ask Xiao Cheng to call Xiao Peng. Oh, I'll go right away. When I went, I didn't forget to take another piece of meat from the plate. The fire here is made of briquettes, and there are two stoves, one for cooking and one for cooking. An hour later, a delicious meal was served. Mei Shui specifically asked He Jiao if the child had eaten meat. After learning that it had, Mei Shui made a large bowl of egg custard. Just enough for 3 children to eat together. These vegetables were bought from outside, and Mei Shui added some space water to them. Not only does the fragrance come up, but the taste also wafts out. Everyone's stomachs were full after the meal. Hians didn't come back at noon, thinking that there was something going on with the convoy. Mei Shui left some food for him, fearing that he would come back late. Third Grandma, how long do you plan to stay this time? After Grandma he had eaten and drank, she wanted to find company. I don't know, but I think I will live there for a long time, Grandma, he said, feeling a little sad. If possible, she really doesn't want to live here. It's really not as good as the village. Meixiu knew what her grandma was thinking, but she didn't say much when outsiders were around. We will go back after Li Fei gets married, Mei Shui gave an affirmative answer. Ah, it's not that long since you were born. Li Fei got married on May 26th, which was only about a month. It's almost a month, Grandma, he gritted her teeth and said. She was not angry at He Jiao, but at the group of old people in her family. It's okay. We will move here in 2 days. Then I will accompany you every day and take you out to play. He Jiao understood the old man's thoughts. At first she wanted her grandma to come and live at home for a while, but Grandma said she was not used to it. It's not fun, don't go out, Grandma, he replied without thinking. Meixiu smiled and said, Grandma, it's not bad here. I just saw a lot of old people walking around downstairs. After dinner, I will take you down for a walk, find something for Grandma to do. Otherwise, she would be suffocated. What's so fun? They're all factories. Why don't these people want to work, Grandma, he muttered. On the other hand, Hian sent Xiao to the county primary school. He didn't know anyone, but he knew Xiang Yang. With Xiang Yang's introduction, Xiao entered the county primary school early in the morning. However, because he was a transfer student, the teacher also gave him a test. Xiao was in the 1st grade of primary school when he was in the village, and he only entered the 2nd grade in September this year. But he felt that the 1st grade was not fun and could not learn anything, so he directly told the school teacher that he wanted to go to the 2nd grade. Hians respected him very much, and the teacher also gave him a test, and his grades were above the 2nd grade level with no problem at all. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 268. Chapter 268, Life in the County. If Xiao hadn't been too young, the teacher said he could have gone to 3rd grade. But Xiao is only 7 years old this year, and Hians doesn't want him to start studying too early. Children in the 3rd year are older after all, and he is afraid that Xiao will be bullied. Children are not allowed to go out at noon in school, so children either bring their own meals or buy meals at school. Hians did not feel wronged by Xiao and gave him 5 yuan to eat at school. 5 yuan is a lot of money, it can last for a week. After settling the school issues, Hians returned to the motorcade with Xiang Yang. Unexpectedly, I received 2 big orders today, one is nearby and the other is going out of the province. There is a pregnant woman in Zhangjiang's family, and he is really not good at this job. Xiao Lai has already said that he can't leave her when there are things going on at home these days. So the only one who can go is Hians. Congratulations to Ans, the grandmother, daughter-in-law and children have just arrived, and he is reluctant to leave. But for the sake of money, he still planned to get out of the car. So he did not go back at noon. Instead, he bought a lot of things for home, and loaded the customers' goods into the car at noon. After it was confirmed that it was time to get out of the car, Hians looked at the time and found that it was time to pick up the child. He went to the school to pick up the person first, and then took a car full of things and went home with the child. At home, Hians told his grandma and Mei Shui about Xiao and his car trip. It doesn't matter whether Hians can get out of the car or not, and Mei Suidao doesn't care, but she doesn't know where Xiao's school is yet. But it's a bit late. I'll ask Xiangyang to come and take you there tomorrow. It's not far away, it's only about 20 minutes away from our home. How many days are you going to go this time, Grandma? He was a little worried. She didn't know it was another time when she wasn't with him, but when she came, she knew it was another time. There is definitely some worry. Where are you going? I'm going to Shenzhen City. It may take 4 or 5 days. Grandma, if you don't want to go back, just stay here. We will go back together next time I go back to the village to fetch vegetables. He knew that Grandma was worried about him. Grandma and I plan to go back after he flies to get married. Originally, they were supposed to go to He Rongrong's house, but they really had no choice. It works. We will return to the village one day early, just in time to catch up with Rongrong's wedding ceremony. Hian still knew the priorities clearly. I will come to the county town with Li Fei and the others the next day anyway. He would go to help that day. That's fine, you can make up your mind. Mei Shui had no objection to this matter. It would be better if you can go back early. That night, Hians took his wife back to the house early. What were they doing? Of course it's dry. Grandma, he has long been accustomed to the two of them getting along, so she didn't say much. It would be better if she could give her a great-granddaughter. It's a pity that neither Hians nor Mei Shui has this idea. Mei Shui is even less likely to take the initiative to give birth to a child. Since she has the internal power, she will always directly dissolve the seed he left. I don't know if she fell in love with him, but Mei Shui also started to take the initiative in this matter. Are you comfortable? Hians asked with a smile, looking at his wife who was obviously moved. Mei Shui rolled her eyes at him. If you don't want to, forget it. After saying that, she pushed the person behind her. How could Hians fulfill her wish? It's a beautiful idea, I won't stop tonight. After saying that, he didn't intend to let her go. Heh, I said it as if I was afraid of you. They both threw themselves into this relationship, and they didn't know who would give in first. With the cooperation of his wife, this exchange gave Hians a different feeling. Hians got up and left home before dawn the next day. Mei Shui is of course still asleep. Mei Shui didn't wake up until Xiangyang came to pick up Xiao. Grandma asked brother Xiangyang to wait a moment, I'll be out right away. Upon hearing the sound, Mei Shui quickly shouted. Grandma, he knew that Xiaoxiu wanted to know about Xiao's school. Okay, hurry up, don't let Xiao be late. Xiangyang sat in the living room, his eyes full of envy. Grandma, this house is really well kept. This place was built by Ans, so we moved in directly. She was very happy to be praised. There's a lot of money here. He was envious. If he could, he would also buy it, but money was a little tight. I don't know, this is all planned by the couple, it doesn't matter. That's right, Grandma is enjoying the blessing now. Haha, this is true, but you are going to be a father soon. You have a younger brother at home. You can also come and buy a house by then. Grandma, he knew the people around Hians very well. I really wanted to, but my family's conditions don't allow it. He didn't want to buy it, but unfortunately, he didn't have enough money now, so he had to wait, and wait. It's okay, it's the same thing to buy when the child is older. It's good to have someone at home to help Fang Fang take care of the child. My mother may not be free during the day, so I will have to trouble my mother-in-law. The two chatted about household matters. Mei Shui cleaned up quickly, put on her clothes, washed her face and came out. I'm sorry to keep you waiting for so long, Mei Shui said to Xiangyang with some embarrassment. It's okay, let's go. I'll take you to find the way. I'm a little busy these days and can't pick up Xiao every day. Xiangyang took over the work in the surrounding counties. It's okay. If you have something to do, just go and get busy. I'll know the way once and that's it. She has a good memory. Xiao held his mother's hand. This was the first time that her mother sent him to school. When we were in the village, it was my father who walked for the first time, and then he walked alone. Later on, I went to and from school with the villagers. In the early morning, the area around the factory is still very lively. People go to school, go to work, and really have all kinds of life. After bidding farewell to Xiangyang, Mei Shui walked around Xiao Suiyan again and became familiar with the surrounding environment. It's not bad, there aren't any messy people or things. When Xiao entered, Mei Shui also gave him 2 yuan to eat at school at noon. She will come to pick him up again in the afternoon. Going to school in the county town is a hassle, as you have to be shuttled to and from school. Mixia bought breakfast. No matter if it tastes good or not, she is still tired, so she will buy some first. By the time she got home, the 2 children were also awake. Mom, has your brother gone to school? The 2 little guys looked for their brother as soon as they woke up, but unfortunately they couldn't find him. Yes, how about you go pick up your brother with your mother in the evening? He knelt down and picked up the 2 of them. Just pamper them and see how they are pampered now, Grandma, he said with a dissatisfied look on her face. It's not just you who loves them the most, Mei Shui said innocently. She never doted on her children. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 269. Chapter 269, The Fang Family's Story. When she teaches them a lesson, Grandma immediately comes out to defend her. She is the one who truly loves her children. If I don't protect my great-grandson, who will? Hee, Grandma, you are right. After breakfast, they knew that He Jiao would be coming over today, and they happened to help her clean up the house together so that she could move in early and have company. Today He Jiao came alone with her child. Fang Kai wanted to come, but the store couldn't live without people. Li Fei has been very busy recently. After He Jiao left the store stopped hiring anyone. It's all him who keeps an eye on it. I helped clean it up for 2 or 3 days, and finally cleaned up the house inside and out. Sister-in-law, third grandma, I'll go back and tell Fang Kai today, and we'll move in here tomorrow. She had been anxious for several days. Do your mother-in-law and the others have any objections? The third grandmother asked worriedly. However, it is not unreasonable to worry. There was a real conflict in Fang Kai's family. Because the house Fang Kai bought here is large, and Fang Kai's parents also came to see it, they originally thought that their son would let them come and live together when he bought the house, but he didn't expect. He Jiao has been having a hard time at home recently, and she is getting sarcastic comments from her mother-in-law every day. This is why she wanted to move out as soon as possible. Especially because her mother-in-law said that Fang Kai earned so much money and didn't know how to save some money to buy a house. With this money, it is better to save it for Fang Su to go to school. When the time comes, wouldn't it be better for the 2 brothers to help together than to do business with outsiders? He Jiao felt very uncomfortable hearing these words. No matter what happened to Li Fei, would Fang Kai have been able to do this business without his cousin? I don't know whether I did not rely on my cousin to purchase goods at the beginning or now, and I don't know what they thought. I feel like Fang Kai has such great ability. She didn't intend to talk about these grievances externally, and it was not a big deal. Which daughter-in-law doesn't have some conflicts with her mother-in-law? But when the third grandma asked him this question, He Jiao couldn't help but shed tears. Seeing her like this, what else does Grandma He not understand? Did you use family money to buy a house? Grandma He is a person with a strong character. In addition, He Jiao was her real cousin, so seeing her cry made Grandma He feel a little uncomfortable. Woo, third grandma, He Jiao couldn't help but burst into tears when she received such concern. When Fang Ming heard his mother's cry, he gave up and started crying too. At this time, the room was filled with the cries of the mother and son. Okay, Stop crying. What's the use of crying, Grandma? He endured it for a while and then got angry. I'm already a mother, but I still can't toughen up. Why are you planning to ask your mother's family to come forward, Grandma? He hated her for not living up to expectations. She understands the situation of the Fang family. She doesn't need food from her husband's family, so there's nothing she can't do to be stubborn. Mei Shui hugged Fang Ming and asked Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng to coax Fang Ming. Okay, if the baby doesn't cry, your mother is a loser. She just cries when she's looking for trouble. Don't imitate her, Mei Shui, I pointed out. Grandma, he took out a handkerchief and said, wipe it clean. If crying is useful, then why are the police there? He Jiao Jiao was a little afraid of the third grandma in her heart, and her cries became quieter after being yelled at by her. When she regained her composure, she stopped crying. Tell me, what's going on? Your mother and the others are not here, but your sister-in-law, me, and your cousin are here, aren't you? Are you stupid? You're still afraid of your in-laws, huh? Of course, my own child feels pain at home. Grandma, he is not an unreasonable person. If it were really He Jiao's fault, she would not hold back in teaching her a lesson. They also wanted to move here, but we agreed at the beginning that we would buy a house to live in after we got married, and their whole family agreed. He Jiao felt aggrieved. Why has it changed again now? Back then, back then, back then, how could there be so many of those back then? Don't you know that people's hearts are fickle? You are so stupid that you haven't inherited your grandma's shrewdness at all. Grandma, he hated the fact that iron is not strong enough. Are the conditions at your mother-in-law's house very poor? You may be scolded, but you must also understand the facts clearly. If the conditions there are really bad, it is reasonable to come and live there. He Jiao shook her head. No, it's similar to the houses here. If calculated as a house, it has 1 or 2 more rooms than a house here. Is it also a brick house? It's a small courtyard. Then why do they want to live here? Grandma, he was a little confused. Did you see that the house here is better than the one at home? No, my mother-in-law said that Fang Kai is her elder brother. If possible, the house here will be divided into 2 sets, and 1 set will be given to Fang Su for his future wife. And they live in another house with Fang Su. He Jiao said this, feeling extremely aggrieved. What did Fang Kai say? Mei Shui also frowned. It was necessary to be filial to your parents. In this regard, Mei Shui believed that there was nothing wrong with her parents living with her. But, there is also an unmarried brother-in-law, so. Fang Kai doesn't know about this yet. His mother hasn't even told him about it. She keeps telling me about it. Then you are stupid, don't you know to tell Fang Kai about this? Grandma, he wanted to beat her to death. What a dork. That's right, you can't make the decision on this matter. It's better to tell Fang Kai and see what he thinks. If he really agrees, then you don't want the house here. It's not bad to live in the old courtyard. Comparatively, both Mei Shui and Grandma, he prefer the courtyard and do not like this kind of building. But what if I feel uncomfortable if he agrees? He Jiao had never suffered such injustice since she was a child. When she was a girl at home, everyone let her go. Having been married only a short time, she has suffered more grievances than when she was a girl combined. You have to endure the discomfort. That's his parents. Why, you still don't allow him to honor his parents? Grandma, he glared at He Jiao and said. Mai Xiu also felt that her grandma was right. Yes, those are his parents. You can't let him be unfilial, so you can only feel wronged by yourself. Fortunately, there were very few parents at that time. Even if you have parents, it is only based on your strength. Here, she met her grandma, the only person who was kind to her in her 2 lifetimes. So she is willing to give her heart. Woo, but I feel unhappy. He Jiao was like a child. You have to endure the unpleasantness, this is the life of a wife. Grandma, he said angrily. If you want to make a comeback, You can only wait until your son grows up and you become your own mother-in-law. But that's my biological son, why would I let him be in trouble? He Jiao Jiao looked distressed. Haha, you deserve it? Well, it's useless for you to cry here. Why don't you go find Fang Kai and tell him about this and see what he thinks? I'll leave the child here. It's time for dinner. You can ask Fang Kai to come over for dinner. If you feel unhappy, you can stay here tonight. Grandma he made clear arrangements for her. Oh, then I'll go find him now. After he Jiao Jiao cried for a while, the depression in her heart also dissipated a lot. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 270. Chapter 270, Mother Fang is looking for trouble. After she left, Grandma he glared at Mei Shui. Look, you used to have the same temperament as hers, but fortunately you have been trained by me now. Grandma he said with pride. Meixiu was speechless. Why was it mentioned to her again? Besides, the vulnerable person was not her. Yes, Grandma's teachings are good. Jiao Jiao, please ask Grandma to teach her well. When you return to the village, you must ask Grandma Jinghua to catch 2 chickens for you. Mei Shui was timid. Huh, let's go cook and experience what it's like to be an evil mother-in-law. Grandma he said, pretending to be cruel. Well, then I'll go cook. Mei Shui also cooperated with her grandma and responded with a weak look on her face. Seeing her like this, Grandma he laughed angrily. You, be careful of bringing up my great-grandson. No, no, Mom is not bad. Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng immediately stopped working when their wife said that Mom was bad. Haha, yes, your mother is not bad, but your wife is bad, and your wife is a bad guy. Grandma he said dotingly. Well, now you know who doted on these 2 children. When Mei Shui was almost done with dinner, Fang Kai and he Jiao Jiao knocked on the door of his house. Xiao Peng, go and ask who it is. If it's your aunt, open the door. If not, don't open it. Grandma he was holding a little ancestor. The child might be hungry. Okay, I'll be there right away. Xiao Peng looked away from the TV, ran directly to the door, and asked loudly, are you your aunt? Hearing his question, Grandma he was speechless. You idiot, helpless. Grandma he could only get up and walk to the door with her child in her arms. At this time, a voice came from the door. Xiao Peng is my aunt, can you open the door for my aunt? He Jiao Jiao's voice was a little choked, but she could still hear it clearly. Open the door. Grandma he also heard it and immediately asked Xiao Peng to open the door. He turned around and walked back to the sofa. She is getting older and has to accept her old age. She feels really tired when this brat makes trouble. The door opened, and he Jiao Jiao was followed by Fang Kai. After becoming a father, Fang Kai was completely different from before. She has matured a lot. Third Grandma Fang Kai called to Grandma he as soon as he entered the door. Well, here we come. Grandma he glanced at him sideways, and after seeing a bit of embarrassment on his face, she put away her temper. Come here and hug me, this is my waist. Get rid of the child first, it's too tiring. Fortunately, Xiao Peng and the others are older and don't have to hold her every day, otherwise her old waist will break at some point. Sit down. Grandma he was a hard-spoken but soft-hearted person. Did Jiao Jiao tell you? I told you, Grandma, I'm sorry, it was me who made Jiao Jiao feel wronged. He didn't know that his family still had such an idea and gave his house to his brother as a new house. Ha, what about his new house? What does it mean that he is richer? What does it mean that brothers will be better than outsiders together in the future? If Jiao Jiao hadn't said these words, he really wouldn't have known that he had so many ideas. What are your plans? Seeing Fang Kai's good attitude, Grandma he also smiled at him. This house is my and Jiao's new house. No one will give it to me. My parents can live here if they want, but it's impossible to give it to Fang Su. Fang Su is not his responsibility. Yes, it is unfilial for him to do this, but he cannot be foolishly filial. After the daughter-in-law married into the family, she took care of the family every day, cooking, washing and other tasks. Even if she was pregnant and working, she would cook dinner for her family every time she went back, which made him feel very sad. Now, even his own parents are not allowed to make plans for his house. However, I don't know if it was his mother's idea or Fang Su's idea. I heard that Fang Su has a girlfriend in school, he. Fang Kai laughed at himself. After receiving a harsh word from Fang Kai, the alienation on Grandma He's face obviously dissipated. Just be aware of it, don't feel wrong Jiao. Her family is not as rich as yours, but her mother-in-law's family is not bad. Grandma He was obviously trying to stand up for He Jiao. As soon as these words came out, even Mei Shui was stunned. She didn't expect that Grandma would say such things for He Jiao. But that's right, they are blood relatives after all. Well, don't worry, third Grandma, I won't wrong Jiao anymore. I personally asked her to marry her. Fang Kai felt very clear in his heart. That's good. Go back early after dinner. It's not good for the children to stay out too late. Mei Shui cooked quickly and had the meal ready in a short time. After the meal, Fang Kai took He Jiao and left the He family with the child in his arms. On the way back, Fang Kai said nothing, and He Jiao was a little scared. Even though her hand was held tightly by him, she was still very scared. Fang Kai, are you okay? While worrying about him, I also believed in him. It's okay. When you get home, you can take the child back to the house. I won't go to the store tomorrow. Let's move, some things need to be made clear. The two of them walked quickly home. After returning home, He Jiao obeyed Fang Kai's words, called someone and went back to the house directly with the child in her arms. Children may also feel that the atmosphere at home is different and stay in their mother's arms without scolding or making trouble. Hands tightly grasping his mother's clothes. In the main room, the whole family was there today. When they came back, he clearly felt the change in his mother's face. Xiao Kai, come here, Mother Fang shouted sternly with a pulled face. Fang Kai had something to talk to them about, so he listened to his words and sat down. What's the matter with your wife? When we came back from get off work, no one at home didn't talk to us, and we didn't cook. What are we doing? What do we want to do? Mother Fang's voice was a little loud. Maybe you also want to tell the people in the room. Well, I know, today we went to the third grandma's house for dinner, and my sister-in-law and the third grandma came to the county town, Fang Kai said calmly. Fang Kai also pulled Fang Mu's clothes to tell her not to go too far. But Fang's mother could not calm down now. When her third grandma comes, you rush up to her. What about the family? Don't you need to take care of her at home? Before Jiao didn't get married, the family also lived for decades. The anger in Fang Kai's stomach was already very high. Now that her mother was making trouble like this again, her anger became even more intense. Are these words spoken by human beings? Who would marry a daughter-in-law just to help her at home? Isn't it because she is so rich? Mother Fang became even more angry when she saw that her son was favoring He Jiao. I really feel that he married a daughter-in-law and forgot about her mother. Don't you see how valuable she is in our family? She is very valuable in your own family. Not to mention cooking, she has only done laundry a few times. Fang Kai is not willing to kill someone. Even if that person is his mother, he still knows how to behave. Mom, you don't have to drag Jiao to talk about things. If you have anything to say, just tell me directly. Saying Jiao is just for setting the stage. Father Fang also heard the impatience in his son's tone. Xiao Kai, what's wrong with you today? Why are you so angry? Sorry, I forgot the time? End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 271. Chapter 271, Causes and Consequences. Fang's father actually doesn't know many things. He is really busy and tired at work on weekdays, so he cares less about things at home. Even though he cares little, he is not a fool. That depends on what mom means. Fang Kai could hardly hold back his anger. Fang's mother didn't know why, but seeing Fang Kai like this, she felt that Jiao must have told him what she said. So what if I tell her, she is his mother, why can't she want a house? What do you mean by me? Kai, please explain clearly. Mother Fang may not have enough confidence. Fang Kai smiled and glanced at his younger brother who was sitting there silently. Unexpectedly. Xiao Su, have you found a girlfriend? Fang Kai asked Fang Su inexplicably. Fang Su thought he would just sit back and enjoy his success, but he didn't expect it. Brother, did my sister-in-law tell you? The only thing he could think of was that his mother said a few days ago that he would be given half of his brother's house. I think my mother told my sister-in-law. Brother, listen to me, don't listen to mom. I have never thought about it that way. Xiang and I have already made our own plans. After we are admitted to college, we will earn our own money after graduation. Fang Su understood. My brother was angry because my mother asked my sister-in-law for a house. But he never thought about this. The fact that his family's conditions are as good as they are now is all thanks to his brother. His daily expenses for school are provided by his brother. He is not a white-eyed wolf and will not bite a piece of his brother's flesh. Unsure of whether it was true or not, Fang Kai stared at Fang Su. After seeing the seriousness and sincerity in his eyes, Fang Kai smiled. Fortunately, I didn't lose a younger brother. Fang Kai's sincere words. Once Fang Su has the slightest evil thoughts, he will throw away this younger brother with his own hands. Brother, what are you thinking about? Don't you know what kind of person I am? Besides, you bought it with your own money, so why should you give it to me? These self-knowledges are self-evident to him. That's fine. As long as you are still my brother will not care about you. But if you try to fool me like a fool, then you will no longer be your brother. Fang Kai's words were so serious that every word hit the hearts of the Fang family. Fang's father understood and looked at his daughter-in-law. If you want Xiao Kai, just say so. The tone was serious. Mom, I told you, Xiang Zan and I will not consider getting married. Even if we want to get married, we will have to wait until we graduate from college. They have their own plans. Mother Fang cried angrily, what's wrong with me? Your brother's conditions are much better than those at home. What's the matter with giving you a house? If he doesn't give it to you, he will give it to someone else. In her eyes, her daughter-in-law has become other people. Mom, you have to know that you are also someone else in the Fang family. You are someone else just like Jiao. Fang Kai was very angry. Just thinking about the suffering that Jiao and himself had suffered, and that her hands had become rough after getting married, he felt very depressed. In the past, she could be said to have kept her hands clean, but now, she has never done any work at home, including washing, cooking, and cooking. It was him who had wronged her. Fang Kai, I am your mother. Mother Fang screamed sharply. She is also the mother of my child, Fang Kai replied loudly. Fang's father and Fang Su quickly stood up. Okay, don't argue. One is holding Fang Mu, and the other is holding Fang Kai. Brother, you know that mom is not that kind of person. Fang Su defended his mother. Father Fang felt very uncomfortable, knowing why his daughter-in-law became like this. After his mother died, his daughter-in-law's temper changed. She has been living a good life because no one has come in these years. Now when she sees Jiao coming in, she feels unhappy. She suffered so many injustices from her mother-in-law back then. Why should her daughter-in-law live a good life every day? She feels uncomfortable and always likes to find things to make things difficult for her. Fang Kai was not 100% disappointed with his family. He looked at his mother and said, "Tomorrow Jiao Jiao and I will move in with my parents-in-law. I will come back to see you during the New Year and holidays." After saying that, Fang Kai took Fang Su's hand away and patted his shoulder. "As long as your heart remains unchanged, I will always be your big brother." Fang Su understands. He understands. Brother looking at his brother's leaving figure, Fang Su felt very relieved. It was all because of him. If it weren't for his mother, he wouldn't have had a conflict with his sister-in-law. He Jiao Jiao heard their conversation in the room, covered herself in the quilt, and cried into tears. She had made many assumptions, but she never thought it would be like this. My mother-in-law is actually jealous of me and makes trouble for herself every day. When did it start? She thought, and after returning home, her mother-in-law generously said that she would leave the house in her hands. She was so excited then, but now she is so sad. Everything is just that she wants to improve herself. Jiao Jiao Fang Kai heard choking sounds as soon as he entered the door. "Stop crying." He walked to the bed and pulled her out of the quilt. Seeing the tears on her face, his heart ached. Fortunately, Fang Ming was good. He lay on the bed quietly, eating with his own hands. After he Jiao Jiao felt Fang Kai's arrival, she no longer suppressed herself and immediately started crying loudly. Of course the cries also spread outside. "Mom, don't say things like that again. My sister-in-law will be sad." Fang Su couldn't blame his mother because she was doing it for herself. Father Fang sighed, "Does Xiaoxu have no hands or feet? Can't he earn it by himself? You know, he is more knowledgeable than his brother." After saying that, Father Fang went back to the house directly. Being considerate is one thing, but he cannot accept that his daughter-in-law has become like his mother. Back then, he often refuted his mother for her sake. The Fang family's affairs ended after Fang Kai and He Jiao Jiao moved out of the old house. He Jiao Jiao was sad for several days, and her third grandma calmed down her mood with her persuasion, beating, and scolding. With the company of her third grandma and sister-in-law, He Jiao Jiao returned to her usual smile. She is not the kind of wolf with white eyes. She delivers vegetables to the old house once every 3 days, including meat and vegetables, as well as some oil, salt, sugar, etc. Grandma He also praised He Jiao Jiao for this, saying that as long as she is He Jiao Jiao's mother-in-law, her filial piety cannot stop. Since Hians was not at home, Mei Shui took her grandma and children to play around the county town every day. I also got to know the entire county. But the old lady seemed to have found something fun, that is, after dinner, she went downstairs to create a dragon gate formation with those old men and women. Mei Shui gave high support to this, and also contributed a lot of Xiao's fruit candies to this end. Xiao is losing his teeth recently, so he can't eat these candies, and the 2 little guys don't like eating them very much, so they use them to help the old lady make friends. Don't say it, it's very useful. Grandma, please wait a little longer, they haven't eaten yet. There was a movie show in the factory today, and Grandma made an appointment with some of her good sisters. End of this chapter.